Yep.
So I kind of wanted to get like just your overall thoughts. With Shaq saying that the Pistons are quote unquote boring.
Well, it's tough, right? Because like I think everybody loves Shaq, the player, and the larger than life personality that he is. But as a NBA analyst, Shaquille O'Neal leaves a lot to be desired, right? Like I feel like that's not a crazy thing to say. He's
Mhm.
entertaining, and I always said this about the TNT show is it's extremely entertaining, and it's not so offensive, I guess, to basketball fans if you just watch it in terms of entertainment. But when it starts kind of becoming the main thing that people consume, and we're talking about it even now, like when it starts becoming this large, it feels a bit irresponsible at a point. And here, like I have no issue with Shaq having like wanting to talk about basketball, but the thing is, I don't know if he really wants to as much at this point. If I think he just feels obligated to. I think Shaq just feels obligated to talk about basketball, and be this basketball figurehead and be this figurehead for the NBA. I don't know if his heart is really in it anymore. Like I really don't feel like his heart is in the NBA and watching basketball. I think Shaq just wants to be the media personality, the the commercial, every other commercial you watch is Shaq in there, right? Like that's where I think he wants to be. And I don't know really how in love he is with the game at this point. Cause it feels like to me, Shaq said this without watching maybe a single even half of a Detroit Pistons basketball game this season. I don't think he's watched any Pistons basketball whatsoever. And
No.
it led to this larger discussion just about, the Pistons not really having much national spotlight this year. Like they've been talked about more than they've actually been seen, and it's interesting in that way. But part of me also thinks like Shaq did this on purpose. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if he does have his finger on the pulse more than I'm giving him credit for, I think he did this as a way of kind of jumpstarting conversations about the team. Because I think 24 to 48 hours after this comment, they got flexed to ESPN for that Miami Heat game. And I was like, okay, I don't know if that's necessarily a coincidence. Miami Heat, former Shaquille O'Neal team. I don't know. It's tough. Like part of me just wants to lay into Shaq on this and say like, obviously it's a stupid take. If you watch any of the Pistons games, a half of the Pistons game, a Pistons highlight, 15 seconds of the Detroit Pistons, you would know that they are quite literally the opposite. One of the most fun teams to watch in transition, extremely athletic, talks a lot of shit. Like this is just a really objectively fun basketball team to watch. That it's obvious that he doesn't watch the team. Like it almost
Yeah.
doesn't even deserve like acknowledgement because it's like, okay, clearly you haven't watched, right? And it's just if it's not if he didn't say this to kind of spark discourse and let it be the Pistons kind of stepping stone into the national spotlight, and he genuinely meant this, leave the seat, put the microphone down. And I don't even say that disrespectfully. Like if you don't want your spot as a figurehead for the NBA, give it to somebody else because you're doing the league a disservice at this point, right? Like you're doing the league, you're doing the game, you're doing the players all a disservice when you come out and just say things for the sake of saying things without watching any of the games, without even interacting with like the fans, the community, like the communities of fans, the basketball world in general. When you're just completely ignoring that and in your own bubble, and oh fuck, I gotta go on a podcast today and talk about the NBA. You're doing everybody a disservice. So if that's the case, put the microphone down. You have so many other ventures that you already do those and just stop tarnishing the game because it's hurting the game at this point.
I felt like that first comment. I was like, okay, his host was basically saying like, they're fun to watch, and then he kind of goes and says, well, they're not 40-20, and he's just like, oh, so we can only talk about 5 teams, which that clip got a lot of Pistons fans saying like, maybe he's still upset with '04,
Yep.
which that could be the case. We really don't know. But what made it worse though is they addressed it. I think a day later on Inside the NBA with like Candace Parker and Vince Carter, and he's like, Isaiah Stewart's my favorite player. Kate Cunningham's playing well. Chauncey's got those guys playing well, which made it 10 times
I
worse.
forgot about that. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's just like I like, maybe to your point, he's just trying to, get them on more national TV if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But at the same breath, the way I'm thinking, ESPN's probably like, we can draw narratives and talk, like basically just dunk on Shaq for 2 hours if the Pistons do well against his former team in the Miami Heat. But when I saw that, I was just like, I think he's still a little bit upset about that 2004 finals. And I found the old clip of him and Kobe like kind of talking to each other, and he's like, "Yeah, we should have won it. Like Ben Wallace guarded me is ridiculous. We should have won that easily."
Yeah, I saw there's a clip. I think it was Funny Marco where he was like saying that, like, he's like, did you have beef with Ben Wallace, and just didn't acknowledge it? And then Shaq kind of just plays it off and changes the subject. So maybe there is some beef with the Pistons, and he's still kind of hurt about that '04 gentleman's sweep. In which case, it's funny because he always talks about rings. Like, that's one you just got to let go, because that's not one he got. So.
No, it's just like just that whole week. I did want to just kind of bring it up and talk about it because I thought it was like from an entertainment aspect, dude. I've been laughing the amount of like memes that people have sent me, or like every time I post now. Like last night, JB got ejected. I'm sure we'll talk about it later. So like, man, Chauncey got heated. Like people
Yep.
are just trolling.
Yeah.
Like, and I love Pistons fans because they have a good sense of humor. But honestly, man, I just thought it was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, no, it's I saw one the other day where it was like JB had said something, and it's like, man, Chauncey really got those boys going today, huh? And I was like, yeah, it's
Even
tough.
even Portland's social media team, when the Pistons admin on Twitter's been like going at it. I love it. Even
Yep.
The Portland Trailblazers social team, like, hey, that's our coach. Like, like even they're like, well, like, really, you don't know who our coach is? Like, but honestly, I think the whole NBA Twitter community has been like just posterizing and dunking on Shaq all week, and can't say I don't like it.
Yeah, the Zion take also was stupid. I mean, like, come on, he's been playing out of his mind when he's been healthy. So it was like discrediting that. That's what I mean, man. Like, it's doing the game a disservice. And if that's really like the take you want to have, and that's the way you want to approach the game, leave it behind. Just stop, because at this point it's hurting his legacy. And now kids who watch the NBA, who are on Twitter and just like basketball in general, all they're gonna know Shaq for is kind of being a hater, right? Like, that's a disservice to his legacy, and that's just a disservice to the game.